at the bottom of the ocean. Don't know if I'll make it back home.
Welcome back, everybody, to another amazing week here at the Upsurge Contenders League. I am Audio. Joining me, as always, is Nightstar, and we have an action-packed match for you guys tonight. The semifinals here in the UCL, Week 3 of playoffs. We're going to see Mad City Premier taking on Wichita Wolves. Honestly, Nightstar, I'm looking at this match as almost the preemptive finals in my eyes.
That's definitely one way to look at it because of the fact that these are 2 1 seeds coming out in their group. And then if you look on the opposite end of the bracket, we have 2 seeds going at it. So from a seed perspective, you would certainly give the advantage to whoever does come out tonight.
Yeah, even if just looking at the teams too. I mean, these are names that we've been saying all season long. Mad City Premier and Wichita Wolves have just been slapping kids left and right. And last week we saw both of them actually drop a single game to their opponents. Mad City to Costa and Wichita Wolves to actually Mad City Wildcard, Premier's sister team. Almost saw a real Mad City showdown there if that had gone the other way. But this is where we are, and I feel like there's some key names that we need to watch, mainly on the side of Wichita Wolves, somebody that I think is going to be a really big factor in tonight's match. PBN, who I think has just been almost unmatched in the mid lane so far. We've seen him take some stumbles, but has really been a big showing factor in all of Wichita Wolves' wins.
Yeah, PBN's definitely the player to highlight from this roster because he's really done well to add more champions into his champion pool as the season's progressed. He's started out as the Yasuo Seraphine kind of 2-trick, and then slowly but surely he's added a couple more. He's thrown in the Kiana, the Orianna, of course, really vogue right now. Still dipped down just a little bit, but still definitely viable. And more importantly, the really powerful support champions like the Karma and the Lulu, being able to play those right now in the meta when it's so AD carry focused is going to be really, really important.
Yeah. I do want to mention, though, that there are going to be some substitute players coming out tonight. Mad City Premier are going to be bringing in Rem and Lawton. You were just talking about that bottom lane. Their substitute bottom lane and support did seem like their starting players were out of town. So this was not a, hey, this is the roster we want to run for this matchup. This was, an unfortunate situation, and they're having to kind of fill in. So that's going to be a question mark. We'll have to keep our eyes on that bottom lane and see how Rem and Lawton are fitting in with the rest of their team. They're going to be going up against Grim and PJer over on the other side. Now, we highlighted PVN already, Wildcard or Wichita. This isn't exactly, in my mind, a bottom lane focused team, but Grim and PJer have shown their highlights, no doubt, throughout the season.
Yeah, and PJR, he definitely still plays a lot of the playmaking champions like your Thresh, or he's brought out the Braum, and also the Bard as well here. So, I mean, he's definitely up to making big plays, but most likely we are going to see them play a little bit more towards that weak side because of Perfective or Grimm's champion pool. It's been the Ashe, it's been the Seraphine as well. He packs a little bit more punch in some of the in a couple of these champions. Of course, he still plays the Trist, but the Ashe and the Sivir really just, and especially the Seraphine, just says to me they want to get PJR out roaming about, make plays on the other side of the map rather than just be stuck in that bottom lane.
Yeah, and speaking of the other side of the map, when we look at Mad City Premier, I think one of the big criticisms we've had in past week is if Brownman Darius isn't feeling good, the whole team isn't feeling very good. We're gonna hop right into the draft here, but you talked about PJ or getting to the other side of the map, creating chaos. This is such a strong side for Wichita Wolves when you look at mAAd, Bluxy, PBN. These guys are just known for kind of taking over the early game and being the catalyst for their squad. I think Mad City are going to have a tough time in front of them trying to weather that storm.
Yeah, and Mad City, this is also just a team built around that top side, and it doesn't necessarily reflect in their play because while they do draft and really depend on BMD to get his own lead, they don't throw resources into him necessarily. They try and just keep that as isolated as possible and just lob resources down bottom and just allow that bot lane pressure to continue to drain resources and say, hey, if you want to make a play out in Brownman Darius, well, you're going to be punished down in this dragon side of the map.
Yeah, already rapid fire going through the draft. Rumble, the first pick for Mad City on the blue side. Still a very powerful jungler. We've seen it be exploited a little bit more in the top levels of play, but the answer is Varus and Elise, followed by Tristana and Gangplank. So we are going to be seeing a solo lane Gangplank. That is probably a BMD champion, but that's an early lock-in for it.
Yeah, and actually both of these top laners have really liked to play the Gangplank pick. So it, I think, is going to be somewhat contested here. We'll see just how contested. And more importantly, Bluxy locking in this Elise early on. This is kind of the change in the jungle meta because of the fact that Catch-Up EXP has been reintroduced into the jungle. That means your gank-heavy junglers are once again viable. So your Elises, the Lee Sin can go back into the jungle again. All of a sudden, you're looking at these junglers that are all about ganking become very viable again.
Yeah, and also opens up a lot of options for Wichita. They grab the Varus, so they're going to have a good laning phase down on the bottom side. But just having the Elise on your team means that if you find yourself in a favorable matchup in the top lane, I mean, Renekton still on the table. The Gangplank is kind of known to be a bit of a weaker laner. You can really start to exploit that a lot, and that's what Wichita Wolves like to do. That's what Mad City really need to avoid. That's what worries me about this Gangplank coming into the first round. Wichita on red side, they're going to have the counter pick no matter where that ends up flexing around if for some reason it doesn't go into BMD's hands.
Yeah, I definitely fully expect it to go into that top lane. This Tristana has the option of going into the mid lane still, though, because of the fact that you do have Rumble. And, I mean, at the same time, you can just throw Rumble into that mid lane. Whereas on the flip side, the Cho'Gath pick, because we don't see a Senna being locked in here, I fully expect this to go top lane into the Gangplank. And it's, I believe it's a bit of a rough matchup for Cho'Gath early on, but once you get going, get burly enough, those the fact that you have this true damage ultimate just completely outplays Gangplank in a lot of these situations.
Yeah, it's surely not as bad as we were kind of talking it up to be. Wichita Wolves definitely had the opportunity to just press the go button on that top lane and really turn up the heat. But the Cho'Gath will be a bit more passive early on. Not to say that the Elise can't get in there. You land a Rupture. Any guaranteed CC makes that Cocoon an easy follow-up. But I think Mad City got away a little bit unscathed there in the draft. They're going to grab Leona for themselves, so some good engage alongside that Tristana turns it into a powerhouse of a bottom lane. And Silas, some really good ults on the board already. Looking at Cho'Gath, looking at Varus. How do you feel about that pick? The Silas is always one that I think is a bit feast or famine for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I personally don't like the Silas here. However, it could just be the expectation for, on the flip side, like Wichita Wolves, this is probably going to be an Orianna or a Syndra lock-in, and the Silas plays well into both of those. But Wichita Wolves, they go for a last-minute pivot. They're going to throw in the Rise here. So that means this is a composition, I have to say, it feels a little bit low on damage, and the reason why I say that is because of the fact that they have triple AP. They have Elise, Cho'Gath, Rise, all of them very heavy magic damage. So if Mad City get the opportunity to A, put this, slow down the power curve onto Varus, and B, build a lot of magic resistance, it's going to take a lot of effort for Wichita Wolves to be able to win these team fights.
Definitely will. And, you know, I'm looking at this Elise, and now I'm trying to think of where is she going to be spending her efforts early on? We kind of saw the opportunity to have a hard-winning lane at the top side. Didn't really happen. The Varus Braum looks kind of nice, but you look at your opponents, and it's a Tristana and a Leona, and then you gotta second-guess yourself. And that leaves us with mid. But the rise into the Silas is, you know, okay.
I mean, for Wichita Wolves, I really think it's going to be a very bot side focus, because Braum does super well into Leona. The Leona just doesn't get to really have a say in a lot of these trades unless if there's a really big misposition from either the Varus or the Braum. And I love this bot lane coming in from Wichita Wolves because, again, you know, you want to invest resources topside. This time, however, I think it is just going to be a lot about this bot lane here and coming in from both sides, right? Because Gangplank, he wants to do his own thing. Silas also wants to do his own thing and then move his efforts into the bottom lane. So we're looking at possibly early 10-man bottoms.
That's what we love to see here in the Upsurge Contenders League, and we get it a lot more than you think. But I mean, that starts to beg the question too for Mad City Premier to go into this bottom lane, for both these teams to invest into here. How are Rem and Lawton going to stack up? That question becomes all the more prevalent now that the spotlight is on them. The substitute players coming in what seems like a last-minute situation. Obviously, we don't have the information on how they're scrimming with the team behind the scenes, how often these players actually play together. So all eyes are going to be on this Tristana, this Leona. I think the whole map is going to be kind of hinging on this bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, for both sides, right? Because again, Gangplank, Silas, they're looking to just kind of win their lanes without a whole lot of intervention, and then Silas with that Rise teleport looking to make moves down in the bottom lane, and Gangplank with his own ultimate doesn't need to necessarily even get involved directly. He can just lob that ult down there, see what he can find with just that skill alone. And on the flip side, of course, if Silas is stealing a Rise ult, that means you've got a Rise ult of your own. So Rise looking to make plays, and of course this Elise wants to get going early. So there's possibility if they don't play for bot side, they try and play for mid here for PBN because they want to get this Rise freed up earlier rather than later.
It's a successful strategy, and let me tell you, putting your faith in PBN is rewarded more times than it lets you down. We're going to toss it over to a short break as we get synced up here. Don't go anywhere, though. We'll be right back with game number 1 between Mad City Premier and Wichita Wolves in the semifinals. Welcome back, ladies and gents, to the game number 1 here on Summoner's Rift. Mad City Premier taking on Wichita. And many might look at this and just consider it kind of the finals here. It's the both number 1 seeds coming out of their group. Arguably the 2 best teams that we have in the tournament. At least if just been watching the games, they seem to be the strongest. And here it is, Nightstar. We finally get to see what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object.
That's definitely going to be very exciting to watch, just the entirety of tonight. And I mean, for the main thing, you say that.
I would be upset if this is a 40-minute, just someone gets stomped into the ground, 2-0 victory. You know, some nights it's nice. Some nights I'm like, oh, cool. I get out early tonight. You know, I can get some extra sleep, but not tonight, Nightstar. Take me to Silver Scrapes, to the moon. I want 3 long games.
To the moon, okay. All right. Well, some might question you as far as where that moon is, but
all right,
here.
Let's talk pathing, Nightstar. Bluxy and Castle starting on opposite sides.
Yeah, and I mean, it's clear. Bluxy wants to early gank bot lane. That's really all it's telling me here. Not a whole lot of surprises. He's going to start top side. He's going to go to that blue buff and just try and go from buff to buff. Maybe he takes a third camp on the way, taking that, I would say, Gromp, but he's clearly looking to try and get a bit of a cheese gank into that bottom lane.
Yeah, meanwhile, Brown Mandarius does have the early pressure here over mAAd. As expected, Gangplank is really obnoxious. Level 1 with those parlays, especially into a melee matchup. And Castle is going to be pathing up there, but he's spotted out here on the Raptors. So mAAd knows that he doesn't have, you know, he has a little bit of time to kind of walk forward, get some of this farm before that Rumble comes to pay him a visit.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things is the fact that we are going to see lethality bars. So I like that.
That
but
bot gank though. Flash predicted with the cocoon. Lawton gets stunned up with the concussive blows, and first blood rightfully earned by Bluxy.
Let's go! What a prediction from Bluxy, man. He knows the flash is about to come and holds it just a fraction of a second, making sure flash goes off right when he tosses that cocoon and nails them in the future. Absolute madman. And easy follow-up, of course, for PJR, because all he has to do, flash, Braum Q, makes the kill happen. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
The best supports make it look all too easy. And in the aftermath, I mean, things aren't terrible. You know, following that, the kill did go on to the jungler, so the lane state isn't going to be egregious. This wave didn't get crashed. It stacked up, so Lawton won't really miss out on much XP. And there wasn't too much of a response either. Castle was able to just steal away the Raptors. He did get the top lane scuttle. But unless we see Bluxy start to pay that gold forward and continue to grow that advantage, not too much changed off that first blood.
Yeah, however, what I think the play is going to be, he's just going to go Raptors straight into Gromp, into another gank into that bottom lane, because they still have the flash up onto the Braum. And that means Braum can just kill Leona once more. So I think it's clearly just going to be a very quick turnaround into that bottom lane. No camps quite available yet, but actually looking for an invade for the enemy Raptors. And there's a Braum to support him.
Good guy, PJR roaming up. PBN does have the push in mid, but he's out of mana. Doesn't matter. There'll be no contest. The Raptors will go over to Bluxy. And the dragon spawning here in just a moment. mAAd is able to interrupt BMD's recall.
Good interrupt.
Does prevent him from teleporting to this play. Try to get Prio back. We'll see if the dragon is actually committed on Grim still stuck under tower farming.
Yeah,
Vision
it's a
is
little
gonna
bit
be-
slow going. But yeah, I think you're either looking for that bot gank coming in from Bluxy, or you're going to turn your attention over to that dragon. It really just depends on where that bot wave's kind of sitting, or if, you know, the bot is even gankable. If it's not gankable, then just go ahead and try and solo that dragon if you're able to get control. And that's exactly where they're looking to make a play around as Mark Boots
does find the stun onto PBN. Low on mana, but he's got 2 enemy players sitting on either side of him. Is able to dodge away nicely, does not overcommit. And he will get back to safety. Has a teleport to come back to lane, should he so choose. And the dragon was taken over here by Wichita. So really good job from them. I want to say, meanwhile, Grim has kept this wave perfectly frozen outside of his tower. Rem has not picked up a single CS in the last almost minute.
Yeah, it's a really nice job coming in from Grim, being able to deal with the wave right now. And that's exactly what you need to see when it comes to the lethality verse. You have to win lane. You have to be able to get ahead of the curve. Because, of course, when it comes to the late game, you are going to drop off because of your lethality. You don't have that all-in teamfight damage like a Tristana would in those late game fights. And so, Grim, off to a great start, and honestly, this comp looking a lot better because, remember, we need Grim to get ahead for this comp to work, because otherwise, you're kind of loaded on magic damage.
Execution, so important in these kinds of compositions, but getting that first dragon really without contest and getting Grim to the point that they have gotten him, starting to look really good for Wichita's mid game. They're going to be able to go into it with a pretty quick pace on those first items, definitely ahead of their opposition. And you look at champions like Gangplank, champions like Rumble, they want some time to farm up. They really need to get to those item spikes before they feel effective. We'll see how they're able to use that window, how Wichita can push the tempo once they do get their items. Right now, Bluxy is setting up for a potential bot lane play.
Yep. Even perhaps a potential dive when the next wave comes in and they just somehow are able to shove it all the way in.
Away from Rem and Watson right now. That's why they feel so, you know, kind of desperate to push this in. And here comes Bluxy.
They're scared.
Rem goes over the wall, but Bluxy, he reads him like a book. The flash.
That's
Bluxy
also
still
good.
follows. Varus' ultimate is going to stop Lawson in his tracks. No level 6s for the bottom lane of Mad City. Gangplank, though, has the cannon barrage. Oh, the Varus ultimate coming out from Mark Boots.
Wait.
He goes over the wall immediately exhausted, and so he can't finish the kill. PBN will turn that one around. Great counterplay from Wichita. The counterplay on the counterplay from Wichita's original game.
Yeah, and that is every mid laner's nightmare, right? You flash over the wall trying to finish off a kill, and immediately you get the exhaust thrown on top of you, and then you have to try and break through the Guardian shield, and then they just throw on a bunch of CC. So in the end, you only needed about 100 damage to finish that kill off, but you never got to make any moves. Just truly tragic situation there. And Mark Boots, he was really one of the highlight players from that last series. We talked about BMD being able to get out of lane really well, but Mark Boots was really the one that executed the big highlight reels when it came to those team fights. And now he's going to be playing it a bit on the back foot.
Yeah. Bluxy, though, I think deserves a shout out again in that fight. Very patient so far with his cocoons, waiting for the Tristana to come over the wall. Was able to use it to further force out the cleanse, and even got the follow on the flash with the repel. So he has played 2 fights now, mechanically, you know, as perfectly as at least I could imagine. I'm sure someone better than me could find flaws. But now caught out with no mana and nowhere to go. that's an easy cleanup for Castle.
Yeah, just very easy kill secured there, but now possibly looking to regank that top lane. We have Rise and we have Elise.
As the Herald comes in, Castle, the flash forward, PBN's gonna lock him down. Bluxy perfectly chains the CC, and BMD will just make sure that nobody gets to claim his gold. Captain goes down with the ship.
yeah. He protects the pirate treasure. He protects his booty, you know.
BMD always in character. We do appreciate a role player here in the top lane, and Rem still taking the brunt of this lane. Grim now with his mAAd completed is feeling pretty dangerous with those Qs if he's able to land him, and so far he has pretty incredible accuracy in this laning phase. And this is going to be an easy transition into the Drake, Rem, and Lawton still on reset, and that's 2 quick dragons for the side of Wichita here.
Yeah. Really nice being able to secure 2 early dragons, especially into a Rumble composition, because it just takes so much pressure off of you when it comes to that 3rd and 4th one. That's where the Rumble really starts taking off, because he's completed that first item. And now, well, they don't have to make that play for those dragons. They do have the ability to just fall back and allow a little extra scaling to come through, or let the Varus do his thing.
Yeah, just let Grim do his work. And speaking of the first items, Castle did make a pit stop on the way to a Night Harvester for the Predator boots upgraded to the Stork shoes. So looking at that timer now, 4 minutes, I mean, he does have the components. Will probably finish that Night Harvester, but there's a universe where he doesn't even have that one completed for this soul point. Right now, though, the focus is on top side. Castle gonna drop the ultimate, split off PBN from the rest of his squad. PJer comes in to block up the damage. PBN does get away safely. A flash over the wall. No, you don't! Rem alley-oops him back into his team. And mAAd City are gonna get an important kill back for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, PBN thought he was in the clear, and immediately he just gets slapped straight down, thrown straight back into the bin. Rem comes in and finds his first play of the game. He's been really quiet so far because, I mean, what do you expect? He's just been pressured so much, but now my bud.
Oh, my bud, he just teleported back in. He was looking for a 1v1, thinking, I have Bluxy nearby. Surely this is going to work out for me. But he didn't know. And now,
now Bluxy's in trouble.
Reaping the rewards. Bluxy's going to go down. Repel will only buy some time. Shutdown goes to Castle. And mAAd City, they bought their way back into this game now. A couple of really good kills in the top side.
Yeah, really good kills there. And now Bluxy, he was off to a great start. He was 2-0-1. He was able to outperform Castle, but now this is where it's Castle's turn to shine. It's past that early game. He has his ultimate available, and now they could find a dive there, but they're just going to say, well, we don't need to kill you because sending you back the base is pretty much the same thing. And they won't be able to finish it off.
It's going to stand as Lawton is able to make his way back to lane. Grim and PJ they're feeling a little spicy. You can tell that they want to trade this tower for the one that they lost in the top lane. I hope they don't stick around too much longer for it, though. Castle is on the side of the map. Tristana moving her way back out. And seems like they might get the chance to after all, with Bluxy walking up into the lane and majority of mAAd City kind of leaving the bottom lane for a moment.
Yeah. It's going to be them backing off in that bottom side coming in from mAAd City. And mAAd City, they have to figure out a way. They do have the gold lead, but when it comes to the map, that bot side not having the turret there does leave them a little bit more exposed when it comes to trying to contest this next dragon, and that's going to be the real issue. If somehow the side of Wichita Wolves are able to find this dragon, that applies a lot of pressure on to Wildcard, or not Wildcard, but mAAd City, to then really force themselves to perhaps make a mistake. And that might allow Wichita Wolves to really claim that big upper hand, grab that soul, and then be able to execute the end of this game.
I like this play here from Castle, grabbing the Herald. 30 seconds till the dragon spawns. If he wants to, he can grab this blue buff and then march straight mid, drop this Herald. Yep. The tower's going up where it will probably fall, and then they can rotate to the dragon. Let's see if they execute on that. Oh, even donates the blue buff over. What a good guy.
Yeah, and remember, for the side of Wichita Wolves, they don't need to contest for this dragon. If they get this third dragon, that's massive. But they don't have to die for this.
Herald drops. Castle's going to prop the equalizer, too, to split them off. Here comes the cannon barrage, and they're looking for the fight before the Drake even spawns. Looks on the map, but nobody's near it right now. Good health bar chunks, and Shelly is not gonna get her charge off. The tower stands, but the dragon control has gone over to the side of mAAd City. Wichita looking like they might just trade the Drake for the mid lane tier 1 instead, but
I don't think they can.
It's already gone. Yeah, no time left.
Yeah, and the issue is their backline is just way too chunked from that engage, and honestly, it was just a great use of ultimates coming in from the side of mAAd City. They make sure they get all 3 of those backline champions, and that really makes Wichita Wolves pause and reassess if they actually want to go ahead and take that fight around Dragon, because yes, your Cho'Gath is healthy, but how is he able to get into that pit? It's pretty much a solo mission in that regard, because his backline, they're not going to risk it to try and help him out.
Definitely not. And I want to once again reiterate how important the Rift Herald was in that play. Not only getting the pressure to move to the dragon, but also creating a need for Wichita to group up and really create that equalizer moment to happen in the first place. Without a Herald, you don't see all 3 carries just walking into mid lane and standing in a little clumped up group wrapped up with a little bow like they were there. But Castle was able to create that pressure for his team. And those are the kind of things that we look at to really kind of judge which team is truly the alpha dog in this matchup. Like we've said, these are 2 top seeds coming at each other. We have a lot of question marks about who's going to come out on top. It's good to see Castle, though, feeling comfortable after that rocky start to the game and still going out and doing Castle things.
Yeah, playing quite dominant here. Of course, now he's in his big power spike. 3-1-1, has the Night Harvester completed. Starting to build towards that, looks like Zanya's Hourglass, although Banshee's Veil might have a little bit more value here. Of course, you are mostly dealing with this Varus in the mid game, so having that extra armor is going to help. But yeah, the magic resistance will certainly come in later on.
Like this look from Wichita. They found out Lawden. The equalizer gonna cut them off, though.
Oh my god.
Lawden able to get away with just under a quarter of his HP.
Yeah, it's basically going to be a big health exchange between Lawton and Grim there. Lawton as the Leona. Going to be still relatively durable, at least to burst damage, as long as you're able to pop that Eclipse. And I have to say it was a slight blunder coming in from the side of Wichita Wolves. They kind of just threw all their CC at once. Definitely could have just chained it slightly better, and now Mark Boots trying to get out. Ooh!
That is probably the best I've ever seen a Silas use a Realm Warp, but he's not out of the woods yet. The Bud is here, does dodge away on the Rupture. And the great escape, Mark Boots start calling it Houdini. He's able to get out of that one scot-free.
You know, maybe it's actually Houdini's boots. and that's how he gets that ability
from.
Yeah.
Brown Man Darius, he's got a pair of his own, I guess. They've got a sponsorship with Houdini, just providing them all the snakes that they could need.
Yeah. Got all the bags of tricks loaded in, and now Lawton, that's not a very memorable corner for you, buddy. He has not had a good time in that neck of the woods. This time around, won't get punished for it. And things just kind of going back to a little bit to neutral, back into a bit of a lull phase. But soon, 1 minute until that next dragon, that's going to be a next point of contention. Now, the big question is, does mAAd City find that same sort of alt exchange in order to really chunk out the backline, or are they able to just this time around for Wichita Wolves, can they get access to that dragon pit?
Yeah, no cannon barrage available for BMD, although he is down here on the bottom side of the map. Mark Boots has picked up a blue buff. River Control currently residing in Wichita Wolves' favor. They did reset a little bit faster than their opponents. I don't think Castle actually did get a reset off, but he's still full HP.
He did get a reset.
Matter. Oh, yes, he got the Zanyas.
Yep.
So actually really important item. Breakpoint there for Castle. And now, let's watch the dance, the tango. All begins now, Nightstar.
Castle chunked out here, and that's sort of nice. But more importantly, it is going to burn that first flash, or
Dragon being bursted down so fast, and Cho'Gath will secure it. Equalizer comes out, and Mark Boots goes in. He's looking for the jungler. He has Cho'Gath. He has to go golden, though. Can't finish off the kill. Great Braum ultimate, gonna slow down the whole team. And mAAd is able to finish off Mark Boots. It's 1-0, and the Drake went their way. Sole point for Wichita Wolves, and they come out with everything.
Yeah, and it's really about these choke controls coming in from both sides, right? If the side of Wichita Wolves, they're stuck into a choke, well then Castle, he just gets maximum value out of that ultimate. But if it's not the case, then you're trying to run through something like a Braum, like a Rise, who are going to love that kind of deal. And even that Cho'Gath, if you're running into him, he's not going to struggle the same way he usually would trying to chase after some of these more slippery targets.
Yeah, and remember we mentioned just before the fight, cannon barrage down. Such an important tool for this squad. If you don't have your Leona front and center ready to drop that solar flare, then cannon barrage is the next best way to make sure that you can get that equalizer down and force your opponents to, take a lot of damage from it. Otherwise, we saw, like in that situation, Castle drops the ult, and it maybe gets like 2 ticks off, but everybody just kind of walks off it and, backs up. They're able to freely disengage, and that's where we saw the problems really start. So we got to see those ultimates be cohesive, come in together in crucial moments. That's where mAAd City have been able to find their wins, their team fights in this game.
Yeah, and that's going to be the main
Varus ultimate is buffered away, and Rem is able to dodge out on the slow. From the piercing arrow, Grim flashes away from the solar flare. PJ is able to get out to safety. This man has been playing incredible on the Braum, and it's a successful disengage from the side of Wichita. They do lose 2 flashes, but they don't drop any kills.
Yeah, so flashes burned on the side of Wichita Wolves. I would say that puts that trade at an advantage for the side of mAAd City. Being able to get those for just the cost of an ult, those are going to come off of cooldown a lot faster here. But once again, we run into that same problem. Like, this Rumble ult does a lot of damage, but there's nothing stopping the side of Wichita Wolves from just walking off of that ult, reset the fight. So you need that extra layer coming in from the Gangplank ultimate or from that Leona ultimate to keep them burning.
Yeah, you do. And one of the reasons that has been so difficult for Mad City is really because of Grim. On this poke Varus, he's been able to chunk people out from so far away. And sure, it's one thing to be able to supply the solar flare, the cannon barrage when everybody's grouped up and kind of N8 ramming. But when half your team is back in base every 30 seconds because they're losing 80% of their health bar to these arrows, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get my point. Grim has done a good job at kind of forcing the team to break up, and that extends to the rest of the squad too. PBN and mAAd on the split push, they've really just been pulling the Death Squad apart.
Yeah, they have been able to, and the siege pressure is really coming online. Of course, this is their power spike here. So they really need to take advantage of this moment in time and help use that to bridge into the late game rise, the late game Cho'Gath, and, well, Elise is around.
She definitely is. Although the way Bluxy has been playing her, those cocoons looked pretty nasty early on.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to still find impact later on in the game. And he's going to need to be on point with his cocoons. I will note that there is a bit of a lack of engage for the side of Wichita, other than the Varus ultimate. You know, you can poke from afar, but if you miss that ultimate, it can be hard to lock some of these members down. So we might see this game drag on a bit if they're not able to execute some of those harder hit skill shots. There comes the equalizer. Grim is gone, but everybody's burning away. They're going to make it through. PJer is going to go down. PBN will follow to the burn. And Mad City, they only needed a single inch. And they're going to take every bit of that mile.
And it was just a really, really good opportunity there offered to Castle. He saw that bit of an imperfect pathing there. The Cho'Gath doesn't walk with the rest of his team, so they know this ultimate, it's going to hit that backline, and they have no way of disengaging that situation. So they just find that moment and they run with it. Now, they've also now stolen the Cho'Gath ultimate, so Mark Boots probably looking to get yet another stack of that Cho'Gath ultimate onto an objective, and that's going to be another stack for him. He's sitting on 4 feast stacks, so this guy is packing a lot of extra HP, but at the same time, at the same time, Audio, here's the thing. If you're a Silas, you want to be more slippery. Doubling the size of your champion does not make you more elusive.
That is true. But, you know, maybe it... I don't know. I actually don't really encounter the size increase that much in my experiences with League. Maybe you'll hide the, you know, you'll get to act like the little ward trick. You stand on top of your ADC and they can't click on her because the Silas is just so big. Could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes your own hitboxes just a little bit... I feel like maybe the chains, because they also get thicker, perhaps it allows you to land your skill shots a little bit easier as well.
So that's why I've been getting hit by these skill shots.
Yeah.
I see Nightstar. It's not because I'm bad, just the champions are bigger than me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Back to the game at hand, though. Baron buff is the current play here for the side of Mad City, reaping the rewards of the thought they sowed. I don't know what the past tense of sow is. Let's see what they're able to get with this. Sowing? No, that's the verb. Sown. There you go. Thank you, Nightstar. My personal thesaurus. The tower has gone down. The second one has fallen now. Good headway so far with the Baron. Let's see if they're able to crack the base open now.
Yeah, and now it really just comes down to Grim on this Varus pick, right? Because He's the only one that can kind of clear from long range. Yes, PBN can kind of do it, but against Baron minions, it's very difficult to do so. And now, mAAd City, they've stretched that gold lead. It's now up to 5,000 and soon about to be 6 here. By the time they're done with this push, it should definitely be at 6. And things getting a little bit hairy here for the side of Wichita.
And Wichita are so close to that Infernal Soul as well. They've been on Soul Point for a little while here. Here's a route more play coming through from PBN. Rem, though, he's already far out of that one. Will not be caught up in that trap. And now it's going to be the reset coming in 1:45 till the Dragon. So we still have a little bit of time for these teams to play around the map. Can probably push in a wave or two and still get a reset off before that objective. But that's gonna be where the next big fight is gonna come down. Soul Point still for the side of Wichita Wolves, and you talked about the gold lead getting bigger and bigger. Oh my god, Bluxy just deletes it off the map, goes golden, buys himself some more time. BMD is waiting though. The blast did not get into the team, and BMD goes down. Kill credit goes over to PJer. But the important part is that the Darius, or Brown Man Darius, is gone for 45 more seconds. Dragon, though, is still a minute away, and he has teleport, so he'll be here for the fight. Mark Boots was trying to take one more out. Has Cho'Gath ultimate, but he's got nowhere to go. And 2 kills down now for the side of mAAd City. Now things are looking a little bit sketchy. Mark Boots is not going to be alive for the fight. He'll respawn shortly after and can TP in, but some big mistakes here for mAAd City.
Yeah, they were so close to be able to get over that finish line, right? And then they just tripped right then and there. We'll see if that prevents them from closing this game out, but at the very least, that makes this Dragon contest all the more difficult. They're going to have the immediate teleport coming in from BMD, but he doesn't have the ultimate. That's going to be the more important thing. Yeah.
So again, we're in a situation where if that equalizer comes down, if Lawton is not there and ready with the solar flare, it can just be immediately disengaged. And here comes the Dragon teleport coming in. Equalizer, but they just walked away. Rem is trying to put down the damage. The front to back is set up. They have lost Lixie. Realm Warp is going to get 3 of them to safety. It's going to be the Infernal Soul traded for 2 members' lives.
Yeah, and I don't know if that trade was worth it. I feel like that you just have to commit to the fight right afterwards. Use that Infernal Soul to your advantage, and now all of a sudden they're going to be 2 men down, and it looks like they're going to try and close out the game.
Grim still doing a lot of damage now with the Infernal Soul on this lethality Varus, but it's not going to be enough to save the inhibitor. Now mAAd City rotating over to this top side where they have a wave prepped. Double cannon wave stacked up here. Grim can only clear out so much with a single arrow. And Mark Boots has the Varus ultimate now.
Yeah, definitely a lot of potential to getting caught. Oh no!
Find Rem, and he goes golden as they dive in on top of him, but he can't get away. PJ are gonna go down. Grim is burning, but survives. And it's 1 kill for 0, but the inhibitor falls. The base in shambles. So are the health bars of mAAd City. They have to get out of here now and reset.
They have to find some way to reset here. It does look like the side of Wichita, they are going to allow them to back off. And now it's, well, do they immediately turn for Baron? How do they pressure this Baron buff? And it looks like mAAd, he wants it.
We're letting them back. mAAd chomps him up for the late night snack. He is going to pay for it with his life. And now Mark Boots, he's big, he's nasty. And he's golden, goes in. Bluxy almost. Bluxy lives and gets a triumph. Whoa! APN! Safeguarding his jungler. He's able to take out the kill.
They're chasing
for Grim. And now they're looking for Rem. Rem is healthy. They have to be careful. That's a... Okay, never mind. They don't have to do anything. Grim is so ridiculously strong with this Infernal Soul. He's going to collect a triple kill.
He gets himself a triple. This lethality build just paying massive dividends in Rem. Like, he doesn't have a lot of tools to itemize against it right now. You look at his build, he wants to get that magic resistance first, most likely looking for that QSS into one of the QSS items, and that means the GA, which you would assume is going to be that last item to give him the extra resistances. That's not going to come in for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, Grim has been picking up a lot of kills as of late, and with his lethality Varus online now, who knows? He may get a short-term loan from the Bank of Mad City. One of these team fights goes their way again.
He's close to Sorelda's, and Sorelda's
so
is
close.
Sorelda's is so annoying to play against, because all of a sudden these arrows now slow you, and that's really dumb. From
Almost turns
playing
into
against it.
Ezreal at that point.
Yeah, yeah, it's AOE, you know. So
well, Baron buff, Infernal Soul, and the Elder spawning here in about 2.5 minutes. Currently, though, Wichita pretty much as strong as they can be until, you know, these next items come in, but they are, you know, despite what the gold lead is, that's almost negligible at this point. They are firmly in the driving seat. And we've seen a lot of these fights simply come down to execution. When BMD and Castle are not able to link up with their ults, it feels very one-sided in the favor of Wichita. But when we do see those stars align, when the ults do land on top of each other, it almost feels too easy for the side of Mad City. And thus has been the story of this game. I asked for a good series, and game one is certainly delivered.
yeah, you asked for hopefully not 40-minute series. Well, we're about to hit 40 minutes in just this first game.
Oh, I said I wanted it. I said 3 long games, Nightstar.
Yeah, and this first one ticks off that checkbox. And I mean, here for the side of Mad City, like, I feel like nothing has changed for this composition. It's still about landing the Rumble ultimate and keeping people on top of it, because the Sylas hasn't really felt super impactful. Yes, he found that last kill onto Grim, but that was really off the back of the Rumble ultimate, right? So everything, again, starts with Castle.
Has certainly been, at least seeming to be, the leader on the Rift for this squad all throughout the season. Castle has been the name on our lips when we're talking about Mad City Premier and how they were able to do the incredible things they did. They just destroyed their group. But seems like they have finally met an opponent worthy of testing them here in Wichita. And man, 40 minutes now, and it still feels like it can go either way. Nightstar, I mean, the base for Wichita, although they have been winning the last fights, is in shambles. If you look at just the structures, all tier 2s still standing, you would think that, oh, of course, this is, you know, in the favor of Mad City, but the fights tell a completely different story.
Yeah. The fights are very much just...
Speaking of,
Yeah.
we're about to get another one here.
Soul?
The Elder Dragon is spawned. Now, vision control is in the favor of Mad City here. And that's not something that could be said for a lot of the previous fights. They were getting caught off guard. They were not, you know, synced up with their ultimates. If they're given a chance to really sit here and prepare, I like their odds. Lauden waiting on the side, looking for a Solar Flare. Mark Boots has the Varus ultimate ready to go. BMD is clearing waves, and he has the Cannon Barrage.
Yeah, I think right now it just comes down to the positioning for the side of Wichita State or Wichita Wolves, that mAAd and PJ their location when it comes to these fights have to be absolutely perfect. They have to make sure that even if the Rumble ult lands, that no one else gets stuck with, or no one can follow up on that ultimate.
Mark Boots throwing out the Varus ult there, probably just to cycle it.
Yep.
Very low ultimate on the Silas ult at this point, level 16. He has rank 3. Can honestly
Cosmic
grab multiple.
Drive.
Here comes the Realm Warp. It's a fake though, and it gets the TP out of Silas. If that was intentional, it's pretty 5D chess. Mark Boots is gone. They're just thinking circles around their opponents here. Now they've got the edge in the fight. Silas,
Bluxy's gone.
he does hop away. Castle is behind. BMD with him. They have a good flank going.
We can just turn on the dragon.
Elder has been started up. Lawden separated from his team right now. Scattered are mad.
They don't have the tools to contest.
Like they're backing off. Yeah, they just can't do it. So Elder Dragon gonna go over. Nightstar, what a genius Realm Warp.
Yeah, the Realm Warp just forces BMD as well away from the play, right? He has to make sure he walks up just to be sure of, where that ult is going. And now with this Elder Dragon, Grim just becomes like an ultimate siege turret. He's just throwing these lasers from way downtown, and they're not an ordinary arrow. They've got extra fire packing them to it, and now I don't know what Elder Flame really translates into, but it is burning.
These are the kind of arrows Lara Croft brings to the tombs, okay? These are Raiden arrows. He's got the Sereldia's Grudge finished up. He's got the Collector. If you thought that the Elder Soul wasn't enough execute damage, throw a Collector on top. He's really going to make sure that you're dead. And now they've got the Baron, the Elder, the Infernal Soul. They physically cannot get any stronger except for the items that they have left to buy. And now I am asking you, for the sake of my sanity, we have 2 more games to get through, hopefully. Let's end the game now, Wichita.
Wait, I thought
Oh my word.
you wanted it to just keep going.
BMD just lost half his HP even after gobbling an orange for his arrow. He actually almost got executed. I saw the health bar there. Cannon Barrage gonna come down just to clear the wave.
It's so large.
Boots loses a quarter. Lawden loses a quarter. Everybody loses a quarter HP, courtesy of Grim.
Elder's starting to tick down though, so not a whole lot of time for them to try and make the play, but I think they're going to go in on this wave. They have to look to really maximize their Elder right here, right now.
Here comes the equalizer, but nothing to keep them in it. Big team fight tool just gone. Just like the health bars of BMD and Lawden, they have to go back to the fountain.
He can just tank it.
Goes Wichita. Rem. Just nobody can get close. Grim is just an artillery in the back line. There he goes. The engage onto Grim. But he's locked down. Mark Boots can't finish it off. He goes golden. The Elder is just too strong. Don't try to fight against it. Rem gets lucky. It fell off there right before he was about to go down. The Nexus falls, and game 1 belongs to Wichita Wolves.
Yeah, and as far as the fight timing goes, it's probably the best you can really ask for on the side of Mad City. It was just about to tick away. Unfortunately, though, Wichita Wolves, they realized the only way for them to make Mad City fight them with this Elder is to just take those turrets. So they delete both of the Nexus turrets, and at that point, Mad City just had to fight with 5 seconds or so left on that Elder, and you clearly saw that just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, let's go back to that 200 IQ play though. There at the Elder Dragon, the Realm Warp to come in. I don't believe they had vision on it, which was why the whole play worked in the first place. You can still see the animation of the Realm Warp through the fog of war, even if you don't have a ward down. And so they see that, they don't know who's coming with it. They think somebody's on that Elder Dragon. Silas TP's in, but the whole time it's a bait. They've got a control ward right on top of him. They're waiting for that TP to finish, and they just assassinate Mark Boots, who we pointed out at the beginning of the game to be a very integral part of Mad City Premier. He is at the forefront of a lot of the fights that they, have success in. Him and Castle are really the 2-man squad that leads this team. with him out of the picture, I mean, the fight was just too easy to win from there. Applaud. You round of applause there for Wichita Wolves at the end of that game. I hope it is indicative of what is to come, Nightstar, because we could have 2 more games of that.
Yeah, it was still a very back and forth game. Mad City had the advantage for, I would say, a lot of that mid to late-ish part of the game. It was just really once that Inferno Dragon slips away from them, and then just getting caught out repeatedly just ends up snowballing away. And that might just be because of the fact that, maybe this team isn't super synced up. Maybe they only have 1 week of practice with these subs. I would assume best case scenario in that case. But at the same time, your rotations aren't as crisp. We saw it was really the macro play that led them to dominance last week. And we just didn't see that same thing today.
And going into game number 2, I'm going to ask for Mad City, just tone down the ease of execution just a little bit. You don't have to play the Rumble Gangplank Leona, land under all your ultimates at the same time or bust a comp when you've got these sub players in. Pick something a bit more lane focused and allow your jungler to do what he does best, which is just take over the map. Castle is such a great player, but it did feel like he was just rushing to pick up the pieces for a lot of that early game. Wichita Wolves with the Elise pick, with their good lane matchups, made it really scary at the beginning. When those first 2 dragons went over absolutely free, I was thinking that this was just going to be done and dusted. I'm glad Mad City were able to find a way back into the game, and I hope that they can find a way back into the series. We're going to take it to a short break, give them a chance to recuperate, and we'll be back for game number 2 between these 2 top seeds. This is a matchup you're not going to want to miss, so don't touch that browser. Welcome back, everybody. Game number 2 here between mAAd City Premier and Wichita Wolves. It was a close game, really back and forth in game number 1, a 40-minute slugfest where we saw mAAd City, you said it, mid to late-ish game, were all steam ahead. They were just dominating all across the Rift. The early game, though, and the very end of it did belong to Wichita Wolves, and that's the only part that really matters, Nightstar, is the very end of the game.
Yep, that really is it. Like, whoever takes the Nexus does win the game, and everything in between is merely the journey to that end goal. And for the side of Wichita, they were able to accomplish that end goal, and the big notable things that they collected along the way, well, they got 4 dragons. That means that they got an Inferno Soul. They also got themselves that Elder Dragon. And with that, with those 2 big tools, really, they were able to really snowball and figure out a way to finish that game. Even though I would say if they weren't able to get those things, that game looks a lot different. It makes it a lot harder to just beat them from range with this Varus pick.
Yeah, it definitely does. And that's why going into this next game, I'm going to be very interested in how mAAd City decide to approach this draft. It does look like they're going to be sticking to blue side. So we're not going to be seeing a change in the side selection here. But that last composition, it did feel like it was just kind of difficult for mAAd City to do what needed to be done. Castle was looking great. Some of his ultimates were fantastic when he had the right tools to back him up, but more often than not, he didn't. So I'm wondering if mAAd City run that back, say, hey, maybe it was just our execution. If we can get those ultimates to sync up better, we have confidence in that draft. Or if they try to change things up a bit, factoring in the fact that they have substitute bot laners right now, their ADC and support, maybe pick something that's going to be a bit easier on you in the early stages.
Yeah, and I mean, I really have to just bring attention for the most part to that Silas pick, because that pick felt like it didn't pull the rest of the comp together. You had just a really good solid composition up until that point, and you can also sort of critique the Leona, but in the end, I would have to say you just got to go for comfort when it comes to your sub players, and it really just comes down to your mainstay players to make those changes that they need to do in order to make these compositions work. But mAAd City Premier, their first adjustment is to deny the Varus pick.
I like this. It was the thing that gave them the most trouble in the last draft. It's not that difficult of a playstyle. Of locking in Varus first also is incredibly flexible. He has a lot of different builds that he can go. If you need him to be that backline DPS threat, he can be. If you need him to be that artillery lethality poke mage, he can be as well. They're going to be giving over the Ashe and the Morgana. This could be jungle, could be support as well. It is a pretty strong pairing with the Ashe and a good answer into the Varus.
It's a decent pairing, and if they want to throw it into the jungle, they can have that option. However, if they do throw it into the jungle, they do have to be careful of the Rumble. I would say Rumble definitely wins out that matchup, as we've seen displayed at MSI, and it will be that Rumble pick locked in. Still flex options available for mAAd City. You can throw the Varus into the mid lane if you really want. You can also move that Rumble into multiple lanes as well. So like this opening from mAAd City, it's just a matter of, well, how do we finish out that draft? This third pick could give them signs of, okay, all right, signs of what's to come, and they go ahead and lock in the Braum.
Braum, very powerful alongside that Rumble. If you can get into those choke points, can be the perfect setup for the equalizer. Their ults are almost the same in the width and hitbox. Rumble's is a little thinner, a little longer. But I love the mAAd City Premier draft. Just compared to last game, it feels like they're still trying to keep the core of what worked for them in game number 1, which was Castle on this Rumble, finding great equalizers in these fights, but adapting from that game 1 strategy. Now they've got the Varus and the Braum, already some better tools to lock people into that ultimate. Wichita Wolves, though, they're throwing it to the Wolves, the draft book at least. They're coming out with new picks all across the board. Now the Nocturne locked in the end of this first round.
Nocturne locked in has flexibility still as well here for Wichita Wolves. So both of these opening drafts are looking really nice. You have the Braum and of course the Ashe kind of lock themselves into a certain role, but otherwise you still have a decent amount of flexibility. And I like this adjustment coming in from Wichita Wolves. If this is lethality Varus, it means he's going to be missing a lot of all-in damage, and that just means Nocturne is just going to eat him up for breakfast every day of the week. So might pivot and force this Varus into more of the Kraken Slayer style of build here. And, well, the bans are also going to kind of reflect a little bit of that, taking away his Silas and Yone, away from Mark Boots. Of course, those are his big playmakers. And on the flip side, you want to strip away some of the safety in the Karma and the Thresh. But honestly, against the Braum, I'm very willing to put Morgana into that bot lane to really bully him out, but okay. Still open-ended, Trevor.
Lots of flex coming in. The Morgana, the Nocturne, the Galio. Ashe is really the only pick that kind of know where she's going, unless Wichita Wolves want to really surprise us. But I love this just adaptation, this willingness to go with a completely different style. It tells me that this was a plan. This is another comp that they've got in their, another tool in their bag of tricks here. And it does feel very focused around this Varus. They had a very successful Varus game themselves in game number 1. Game number 2, although they're on the red side, they leave it open. And as soon as it's picked, you've talked about all the answers to come through. The Ashe does well, and it does well enough into it in lane. The Nocturne to pressure it, the Galio to follow up on it, Morgana to black shield those diving carries. It almost feels like Wichita were daring them, and they said, all right, go with the anti-Varus comp.
Yeah, and they actually round out their composition with a Syndra, which again emphasizes that this backline is extremely fragile. You only have a Braum to protect it, and it is so immobile. I am terrified for Mad City here because they have to deal with the Nocturne and the Galio. If this is Stridebreaker Nocturne, he does not die very quickly, mind you. And we're going to see Gwen as well, who is an absolute nightmare to deal with on backline.
Why don't you tell us why, Nightstar?
If I start describing that W, Gwen W, I'm going to get nightmares as well.
Well, we're probably gonna have to see it quite a few times here in this game. Just know that it's good. That's my top tier play-by-play analysis. This is what happens when Nightstar lets me explain things. Gwen W, very good. 2 thumbs up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that Gwen W is just so frustrating to play against if you're playing against it. And now it's just a matter of where do we see all these champions? Because Gwen can go into a solo lane, but she can also go into the jungle. And that's really just the story for all of these champions for Wichita Wolves. We need to see these champs locked in.
And we are waiting. Draft is finished. Braum and Darius will be taking the Camille. We guessed that much.
Surprise!
I can discern a few things from the draft. However, let's see what mAAd is going to be locking in here. He's keeping us all in suspense. It's the Nocturne going to be taking to the top lane. Now, Gwen in the jungle. This speaks to me that they want the Galio in the mid lane, which would open up a lot in terms of being able to roam around. That hero's entrance is very good, even at level 6.
Yeah, and honestly, you can also throw the Morgana into the mid lane as well. If you get early Merc treads, it is perfect for that, but Galio fits the bill as well. Again, you build Merc Treads, and you just do not care about the jungle mid 2v2, because Rumble Syndra will not be able to puncture you through that magic resistance just built up from Merc Treads, and not to mention he's also Galio. So I like this because it means Morgana is going into the bottom lane, and that is the perfect matchup to just pick on this Braum. Mad City, they thought they were going to get away with stealing our Varus Braum combination. Think again.
Get your own comp, all right? Now, I want to look at this Gwen in the jungle. Nightstar, I'm going to test your knowledge a little bit. As the color commentator, we've seen a rise of AP junglers, actually. The Morgana, the Rumble, and now we get to see Gwen taking to the jungle. Where does she fit into the meta? What is she trying to do?
What does she try and do? Make your life miserable as backline. But she's going to get a little bit less resources in this new version of the jungle than perhaps if you throw the Gwen into the top or even into that mid lane here. So a little bit less resources. We need to see her try and find some more of these dueling skirmishes against the Rumble, perhaps. Really try and isolate the Rumble. And it's not a bad 2v2. Like, Gwen Galio, I would say definitely wins out because of how much CC is brought in from Galio, from that ultimate, and also just the dueling power of Gwen to say, hey, this 2v2, well, I'm just going to kill Syndra, and as Rumble, you can't do anything about it.
No, you certainly can't. And, I mean, once again, we're in a situation where we're kind of relying on Castle because there's not a lot of tools to lock people or to
it's a little bit better
line. Yeah, it's a little bit better when you're looking in terms of, okay, can we lock people into the equalizer? Yes, you've got the Hextech Ultimatum, you've got the Varus ultimate as well as the Braum ultimate. Like there are more tools on the table, but what have you sacrificed? You have a very squishy, very immobile backline with next to no peel. So when we came into this game, we said, hey, maybe lower the ease of execution a little bit. They said, no, we want to go Dark Souls level of hard. We are going to, perfect game this. This has to be just so well put together when it comes to the team fights. If anybody missteps, they are going to die.
Yeah, and I think they still correctly diagnosed the problem from last game, right? And that they didn't have enough tools to make this Rumble ultimate effective. They threw in the tools, but unfortunately they kind of neglected the cost of it, as you pointed out.
They took off the safety equipment to put on more tools.
Yeah, they were like, well,
models when you have a saw.
Exactly. They just overloaded onto this Rumble pick, and that means Castle, he has to be the superstar. It can't just be a regular pop-off. It has to be an unreal pop-off to really carry his team to that third game, and there's only one way to find out, Audio.
Yeah, I do think that extends to the rest of the team. This needs to just be Lane Kingdom in general for the side of Mad City. They need to run away with this one. But that's not what game one looked like. They had a rough early game, and it turned into a 40-minute slugfest where they eventually fell to Wichita. We'll see if they're able to fight back here and take us to a game number 3, or if Wichita are going to send us home semi-early. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back with game number 2 after this.
तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में निहा 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 तेरी
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, on to Summoner's Rift for game number 2. And whoo-wee, am I excited for this. mAAd City, see a similar but slightly changed comp, a different variation on their game 1 style. Wichita Wolves, this is a brand new composition from them. I am excited to see if they can match this different pace that they've set for themselves, because although Bluxy got work early done, overall it felt like a much more laid back early game in game number 1. This one should be all for the aggression. I want to see ultimates flying everywhere.
Well, you're going to get aggression because Bluxy, look at those summoner spells, audio.
A man after my own heart.
He wants to fight. He's not looking to flash.
Damage.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Gwen already has her own dash anyways. I just need exhaust so I can dive into the backline more readily and make sure that they are having absolute nightmares of playing against me. And ironically, audio, I think if you swap the mid laners or the mid lane champions from game 1 and 2 for Mark Boots, both of those drafts look a lot better. But that's not what we're going to get here. We need to see Mark Boots truly be on point, because it feels like he's going to be the last line of defense for Rem.
Oh, Grim, he's taking no chances here. He's getting after him nice and early. Now, we saw Bluxy path towards the bottom side in game 1 and really kind of hold Grim and PJ'er's hand, allowed them to be as dominant as they were. Is pathing the same this time, however, is doing more of a full clear, so he's not going to be able to get down here early on. Grim and PJ'er, though, they don't really seem like they need any help. They are shoving this in relentlessly. Rem's lost half his HP, and they are going to be in a position to roam up and help for the scuttle should they need it. And PJ'er lands the binding.
Yeah, this is a great start for Grim and PJ'er. Now, on the other side, we do have to note that, well, Mark Boots, he's having a good time so far, and BMD, he could be a main player when it comes to another win condition for this squad, because if he's able to get ahead, this Nocturne doesn't do a whole lot to Camille towards mid and late game once Camille, of course, hits those 2 items.
Yeah, to do mAAd City some favor, we talked a lot about the mid game when we were in the draft, and theoretically the strength of the teams once they were at a couple of items. But we didn't really entertain much the possibility of mAAd City just running over the laning phase. The bottom lane has a lot of all-in potential. The early laning, as you can see, is not that great, but they've got so much damage and so much kill threat packed into the rest of this team. And if they can utilize it, they might just be able to break this game open and get ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and that's also the one of the benefits of playing a Varus or going lethality build there, as once again we're gonna have a bit of a kerfuffle in that top lane. BMD really trying to assert himself in this lane, as he really needs to.
Castle pulling the wave here. They might look for a dive, but Bluxy's on the way. So is PBN. It's a fast roam. Mark Boots has teleport. And they are going to see the Galio and just call the play off.
Yeah, and I also think that just pulling the wave there, making sure that the wave crashes coming in from BMD's side was a really nice play. And unfortunately, Gwen able to make it there in time to stop that bit of a proxy play coming in and allow the wave to Stick
and that's super
around.
important. The fact that Bluxy and PBN were able to get there so fast means that nothing happens on the play, and we get to see another kind of boring laning phase where mAAd and PBN are almost to level 6. Bluxy not too far behind them, likely. And that's where Wichita want to be right now. They want to get to that level 6 unscathed, and then they want to turn up the tempo and start making a lot of cross-map plays.
Yeah. And that's when, of course, that Galio hits level 6. That's when we should see things really start picking up the pace. And on the flip side, I would still say for Mad City, the upside on their composition is higher than the upside on the flip side, because Ashe, she isn't exactly the highest damage AD carry, and well, if Syndra's able to really get all her items, this Varus gets all his items. Like lethality Varus, whenever you have a rumble, it's just so frustrating to itemize against. But they have a high ceiling, they also have a very low floor.
Another early dragon picked up for the side of Wichita, uncontested Infernal Drake, and smartly not going to be contested at all for the side of Wildcard. They have not had the bot lane prio, and mid was more or less matched. So just like last game, they're going to give that one up. Now, they gave away the first 2 in rather quick fashion in that game. I wouldn't advise against, or I would advise against that here in this game too, because when you start looking at that soul point and that eventual soul, if it comes in very quickly, that is prime time for this Wichita comp. That is exactly when they are feeling at their strongest. It's around that early 20s minute mark.
Yep, and we are going to see double tier once again come through from the Varus side. Last game, it was, of course, the Rise in Varus, so it made a lot of sense this time around. Seeing the Syndra go for an early tier is a little bit interesting. It does make... It's definitely one of those items that you can just pretty much buy on any mage if you really wanted to. So we are going to see it this time around. It'll be interesting to see if Syndra does go for the Seraphs early on, though.
Yeah, obviously Seraphs became a much less attractive first early item when it lost the shield in the new item update.
Yep.
But this still gives you a good chunk of AP and make sure that you're never going to run out of mana in these fights. Now, a lot of Wichita members are residing in this top side. BMD
Level
has
7.
Flash. He has his ultimate, and there is no wave. They sniff this out. Mark Boots is on the other side. And this could
coming
be
up to match.
a pinch in. It's a 4v3 here. Look at BMD. Here comes the Nocturne. Great equalizer into the choke point and first blood for the Galio. But it's not over yet. PBN uses the ult, and he starts to turn things around. It's now a 3v2 for the moment.
Two for one trade.
Lauden and Mark Boots can get anything else done on this. The health bars are so low, but they can do nothing but watch as Bluxy steals away the blue buff and hops over the wall.
Yeah, and really just a really beautiful play coming in from that side of Wichita Wolves. But now Rem...
Hold this. Oh, Rem is feeling himself.
Oh, Rem!
And he does get the heal out of Grim.
Flash.
Can he let the piercing arrow? Yes, he does. Rem gets a solo kill.
Gets the solo bolo there. Grim holding on to his flash as well, not using that tool. And a very critical play coming in from Rem to really pull himself onto the scoreboard. We didn't get to see a whole lot of him in game number 1, and that was really just because of the pressure exerted coming in from Bluxy down into that bottom lane. This time around, he isn't behind when it comes to the farm department, and now he's going to be really in prime position to hit this mid-game running.
Yeah, and if there is a better story for somebody to start, standing up on this squad. It would be the support ADC or the substitute ADC coming in. Game number 2, backs against the wall. Rem finds a play that gives Mad City Premier hope. Now, obviously, they've still got the ace up their sleeve, Castle. And also, Mark Boots doing pretty well through this early games. Small CS lead and that single kill on the Syndra. But the fact that this Varus is now getting off to an early start himself makes things a whole lot easier. Castle looking for the top lane, but instantly respect flashes that. He knows if he gets caught in that Hextech ultimatum, it's lights out.
My bud says, oops, my bad. I'm out of there.
It was a joke. This is your lane. I'll let you get back to it.
Yeah, have a nice day. Carry on. And, well, things going a bit back to neutral. And actually, Rift Herald thrown down into the mid lane. They want to try and contest this next dragon.
Yep, now here comes the bot lane play. Bluxy's going to be here first. Lawton and Rem backing off.
The turn.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow right at the end of that shield. And now they have a man advantage. They're looking for the play. Equalizer going to come down to buy some space, but it's a route onto Mark Boots. He's going to go down. And with the carries crippled, Mad City have no choice but to give this dragon up.
Yeah, and you saw the idea, right? You grab the Rift Herald and you immediately plop it down mid lane and rotate bottom lane. Because you're the side of Wichita, they would have to kind of pick and choose. Do they go ahead and contest that Rift Herald, or do they still continue to make that play for the dragon? And they decide. And you know what? They end up getting both. They make the play bot lane succeed, and an overinvestment of resources coming in from Mad City is going to put them in a bit of a deficit right here.
Yeah, and I love the look from Mad City to use the Herald, transfer to the bot lane. But again, it's Bluxy in the right place at the right time. He is there to that bottom lane play first. And so the 2v2 engage from Ren and Lawton, expecting to have their jungler backing them up, ended up having to turn into them running away because Bluxy was there first. I think that's almost been the story of kind of this series. Bluxy has just had the edge over Castle slightly. Both players are having fantastic series so far, but Bluxy has just always had the perfect response to what Castle is doing.
Yeah, and he's just had just a little bit better when it comes to making the plays happen. Now, my bud, remember, he doesn't have flash, so if he gets chunked out too much here, he's going to be under threat when it comes to the dive, but not enough minions. You're going to be a little bit more patient. I still think that they're going to look for that dive play, though.
Nightstar, in a world full of questionable usernames here in the Upsurge Contenders League, I would like to personally thank my bud for just having a nice one. Rolls off the tongue. Castle, though, he's invested
They're out for blood.
A lot of his time here. And Mabud will be the prize. Teleports immediately channeled. We'll see if Wichita can punish this. Great flash over the binding, but BMD still going to get stunned up.
Oh, he's going to burn.
He's burning. He's still going to go down. PJ are now taking a tower shot. Is falling.
Oh, no, it's Gwen.
He gets flashed on by Lawton, who does finish him off. Wichita have overextended far to get these kills, and they're paying a lot for it. Bluxy almost going down to the tower there. Mark Boots on the chase. He's looking for a scatter the weak, and he does land it. But now it is Mad City who have taken a step too far in. Mabud teleports back, refreshed, and rejoining the fight. And he'll put the fear into Mark Boots' eyes. Wichita, an overextension on the overextension of an overextension, and they're going to come out on top.
It ends up being a 4-for-2 trade there. Wichita just have this game red. And it's not even like the side of Mad City are making bad plays. It's the correct play, right? You don't have a lot of options left. You can't really play around this mid lane because you're not going to be able to kill Galio. So you just have to say, all right, where's this Galio looking to go next? perhaps will beat them to the punch in that case. And that's what they try and do there. It just doesn't pan out. BMD not quite far enough ahead to really be able to get into that one-shot territory onto this Nocturne right now, and that means Nocturne gets his mythic item first.
Nightstar, I would like to coin a new term here on broadcast: overextensionception. A situation that never should have happened, but was only created because a team overextended on a play, and then their opponents overextended while punishing their overextension, and it just keeps going. And I feel like we've seen a lot here at Upsurge Contenders League, where we're like 6, 7, 8 team fights in that only happen because every single fight a team overextends. And yes, if you're the side of Mad City, you kind of have to take all of those chances when you get them. Because you're in the back seat, you need to overextend to take that risk. It's Wichita, though, that are coming out they're on top in the end, time and time again. They always get the last lap. There are 2 Drakes and 2,000 gold up in this game number 2. And this is a series point for them. Must-win game for Mad City. Or they'll be packing their bags and on the first bus home.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, the squad is just so strong. Bluxy is doing an absolute number on the side of Wichita Wolves. And that's going to be the player to watch in this next dragon, which has just now spawned and taken the rift.
Paranoia, Mark Boots. He stepped a millimeter past that halfway point, and you know what that means. He's got
millimeter too far.
Brownman Darius does dodge out in a lot of skill shots there. Is going to protect his health bar. But without a mid laner, this dragon is essentially null and void. That's going to be Ocean Soul Point for the side of Wichita. Just 17 minutes in. Running out of options for Mad City to come back into this one.
Yeah, and they need to find a fight sooner rather than later, because this gold lead is just going to become more and more emphasized at this rate. So perhaps looking for something like a Herald contest, I think, is really just the last play that they have available for, I would say, quite a bit.
They're looking for mAAd. They know he doesn't have the paranoia. There's the equalizer. That's a big cooldown committed if they cannot finish him off. Galio's going to come in with a great 3-man taunt to stun up
Castle's
everyone. Low. Castle is obliterated. They finally finish off Nocturne as the cavalry arrives. Rem, he's doing work alongside Vaughn. Mark Boots gets the credit for 1, and they get the 2nd as well. Goes over to BMD. A successful play and a much needed one for Mad City Premier.
Yeah, they go 3 for 1 in that trade. That's massive for them because it gives them a lot of extra gold that they just so desperately need, and more importantly, kills go on to the Varus and also that Camille. Camille's your late game carry in this team composition.
And Camille. Oh no, Grim! He gets caught out backing here. BMD, another kill in his pocket. And once again, around the 20-minute mark, Wichita Wolves start to show some cracks in their armor.
Yeah. And I mean, in that top laning play, it looks like it was all 3 carries. So Syndra, Camille, and Varus did get themselves 1 kill apiece. And Varus also just that mid-game carry that has to do a lot of the heavy lifting right now for the squad. Hopefully set things up, help out his Syndra, make sure that they are in kill range for this Syndra ultimate. And also, I mean, it also amplifies, of course, the damage coming in from Castle as well. So this is where they really need to make use of their 5-man, I feel.
Interesting note, Rem decided to opt for the Dustblade this game instead of the Prowler's Claw. I know there's been a bit of a back and forth over the 2 items this season, but Dustblade is a bit of a trade in damage for more ability haste, as well as the actual passive, getting that invisibility, which could be nice. But we'll have to
be a little more slippery.
We'll have to note that Rem is not going to be that long range artillery that we saw from Grim last game.
Yeah, I would say it plays more towards a pick play style where you're able to utilize your ultimate just a little bit more often. And having, of course, the extra passive means that you are going to be a little bit more slippery. So if you get a kill early on in this fight, it might be the difference maker in keeping him alive.
What reflexes there from Grim to match that flash. Rem was trying to make a play with the ultimate, and it looks good. That was incredible reaction time there from Grim to keep himself alive.
Yeah, but at the same time, you will also take that trade because Rem, yes, he's immobile, but his flash is going to be on a slightly faster cooldown because of the fact he is rocking that Ionian boots. So getting the extra cooldown on your summoners is going to be a little bit helpful in that regard. But you still have to keep note of the trade-off. This dive, they're definitely looking for Rem now if they weren't before.
Yes, they are. And normally you're fine trading any flash for an ADC's flash, but when it's your ADC's flash, it's always a bit questionable. It comes down to the next team fight. Who is able to actually punish that loss of a summoner spell? So far in the fights, it have been Wichita on the front foot. They've been pulling the trigger, making the engages. Grim has been more or less untouched. I know he does have 2 deaths. Here comes the equalizer. Cleanse out of Rem. They do a lot of damage with the burn. They're flashing forward, trying to finish off these kills. Paranoid gonna come out with the re-engage. Here comes Bluxy as well, but the Nocturne is just gone. Gwen doing big damage. The health bars are so low, but Man City have found themselves 2 kills. Bluxy's trying to clean up. He gets the shutdown onto BMD. Everybody is low. Rem, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Come on. He doesn't hit PJ, or that would have been a kill. The end of it all, it's a 2 for 2. Oh. It could have been so much more though, Nightstar, and it can still be. Castle low. The Ocean Drake is on the table. This is Soul.
Yeah, they have to bring in this teleport. They have to go for a contest. Luxy, though, already onto the dragon. He also has regen coming in from
Rem, I'm going to need you to start hitting these arrows. He's so close, yet so far. There's one onto the dragon, but
they gave it up.
Test it. That's the Ocean Soul going over to Wichita Wolves. Last game, mAAd City were able to drag it out till 40 minutes through some incredible mid-game team fighting, but crucially, they staved off the Soul in that game. They pushed it back 2 dragons. Now, it's an Ocean Soul at 22 minutes.
Yeah, very early Ocean Soul obtained here, coming in from the side of Wichita Wolves. Well done from them. And now for the side of mAAd City, it becomes that much more difficult because it nullifies a lot of the pressure exerted by this Rumble. The Rumble ultimate not going to hit as hard as long as they're able to find targets to hit, get that extra regen. And then, of course, against a poke Varus, Double Ocean is exactly where you want to be because you're just going to slowly regen. And yes, it's not going to instantly regen yourself, but look at Pete, like, he took a chunk of damage and he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah, he's full HP now after getting hit by Varus ultimate. There
look at that Rumble.
Equalizer, but not synced up with the Braum ult, with the Varus ult. Grim there was tagged up, but he wasn't burning. And that Ocean Soul is going to get him right back up to full real quick here. Baron on the table. We've got a Galio and a Nocturne, both inside lanes, neither with teleport, but still creating pressure nonetheless. It is Wichita Wolves' game to lose here at series point.
Yeah, and Grim, while he did take a ton of damage from that empowered Q coming in from Varus, took him down to half health. All of a sudden, he's just back to full health after just like 10 seconds. So things getting much more difficult here. They need to, of course, purchase heal cut coming in from both pretty much everyone. Actually, they have 2 executioners. Can they kill him?
They didn't have the follow-up damage.
The snipe's not there.
And there comes mAAd.
Here's the
under
dive.
The tower, bringing
Might be a little
PBN
bit too far
along
up.
with him. They're not able to find any kills quite yet. There's one onto Castle, and there's a second.
He's out.
The BMD. Arguably the two most important members in this fight gone. And that's going to mean the Baron is very soon to follow. Wichita Wolves, I mean, they're only 1,000 gold behind, but this goes over. Maybe looking at a early exit to the semifinals.
Yeah, but it looks like they might go for a contest. They
Can't.
understand that they want to look for a contest, but they just can't find it. And now this composition gets extra oppressive, but nice little scatter of the weak and an arrow means that they take a lot of damage in a big pick. I don't think it's going to mean much, but it's a big shutdown.
Yeah, is going to buy a little bit of time at least. Will buy a reset for Mad City Premier. And Grim was positioning aggressively there. He had flash, he had heal. He was calling Rem out there saying, I know I'm 1 HP, but you can't hit me.
And
let
Rem's
him know.
like,
He's
eventually I will.
3-0-4. That is the second time I think this game that Grim has had the tools to get out, had the summoner spells, but has kind of just skill checked Grim, and Grim has come out on top. So at least that's something that you can say for the substitute ADC. May not be looking well as a whole.
Uh-oh.
But he's had his individual moments now, looking for a last-ditch engage. They found PJ,
PJR.
locked
Good
in
pick.
Epic ultimatum. But
Mark Boots dead.
behind them, Mark Boots, he gets flanked by Bluxy, by PBN.
Now here comes the
There's
dive.
a paranoia into the back line.
Oh, they get him.
As much time as he could. Here comes the PBN though, Galio. So much damage. BMD is able to get over the wall to safety. Bluxy was just a little bit too far behind his team. Couldn't clean up that fight, but they're able to force them away. And that
They're back
means
to
that
full
the
health.
lane structures are theirs for the taking.
Yeah, and they're back to full health. Ocean Soul paying massive dividends here. And honestly, that's probably the best trade you can get. You went 2 for 2. You went even when you are so far behind. That's not a bad trade. Unfortunately, though, the health bars remaining were just that much higher for the Ocean Soul squad. That means they're able to go ahead and take that mid turret as well. So, I mean, breaking down the play before the Baron was taken, that's just all I can say is Gwen, you know? I do not like Gwen or playing against Gwen. And I really feel for Mad City because it is so unfun.
We'll get used to it, Nightstar. There's a lot of skins to be sold. And Gwen is here to stay, at least for a little while. But, you know, this was blue side, you know, for Mad City. They did have the chance to take this. Obviously, these new champions can be really up in the air with teams. You kind of always know that they're going to be powerful, but you have to weigh that against how much time are you able to get in on it. Can you get to a point where you can effectively use the champion? That's not a yes for every team. It is for Wichita Wolves, and it seems like that's a no for Mad City Premier. Now there's the equalizer.
Big ward.
And there's the Wombo combo. Mad City looking good at the start of this team fight, but can they get a follow-up? Bluxy is huge. We're gonna have to bump that one up to 300 years. After this fight, Bluxy goes golden, and he does go down. Finally, the raid boss is finished off, but it's enough damage done. Wichita Wolves win the team fight, despite probably the best start to the fight that Mad City could have hoped for.
And that was a beautiful start to that fight for Mad City. They had the most heroic ward ever. Just spotting them out. No one on the side of Wichita Wolves decides to pop a trinket to sweep it out or plop down a control ward. And they get absolutely annihilated by that Rumble ultimate, but it's just 2 members that go down, and the remaining members, well, they're more than enough to be able to carry the rest of the fight. The power of that Ocean Soul meant that Bluxy, well, already a lot of sustain built into the Gwen kit. Having an Ocean Soul makes that much harder.
That it does, and 7 stacks on the Magi's, more before he went down in that fight. Is feeling incredible here. Broken stopwatch and inventory, if he wants to upgrade that into a Zanya's, that will put him at full build. 30 minutes in. That's ludicrous. He is not only leading the team in kills, but he is 4th right now in the game for CS, eclipsing even some solo laners, both mid laners actually. So Bluxy having the performance of a lifetime here on a brand new champion.
Yeah, and I mean,
Brand new broken champion. We'll put that asterisk in there.
He's really just flexing his muscles here. And of course, with the exhaust, there's just not enough damage to be pumped out if he ever gets into the backline, because he's got the extra sustain and he also has the exhaust to make sure that they can't insta one-shot him. And I mean, the Syndra can certainly do that, but with these 2 items sitting on her right now, it's just not doable. It doesn't look like that this Elder is going to be the backbreaker, though, because it doesn't look like they're trying to end the game. They're going to use it to just grab a Baron, so trying to expand their gold lead.
mAAd now on the other side of the map is going to find himself in a 1v2. Ultimatum into the Equalizer, but he has the Elder Dragon.
Good stall.
And he has a GA, Ocean Soul 2. Let's see how much time he can buy. The Baron goes down and he flashes over the wall to safety. mAAd is out of there.
mAAd is a very clutch there, able to survive, buy time for them to secure that
And he has teleport.
Baron. And yeah, now he's just going to look for a teleport to get back into this.
Gonna hold on to it for the moment. Doesn't need to pull the trigger if no play happens.
Only 20 seconds left on this Elder, so it shouldn't be that same dilemma that the side of what Mad City were looking at in the previous game.
However, the damage has been done. 2 inhibitors taken. That just alone makes the game so much harder. So much extra pressure.
They can look to turn, though.
While the rest of his team gets over the wall. There's the TP from mAAd coming in. Look for the paranoia. mAAd looking to get into the
Castle
backline.
isolated.
They've been able to force away the threats for the moment. Varus doing a lot of damage, but again, it's an Ocean Soul. This is a war of attrition for the side of Wichita Wolves. They can back off, and if they find a single minion wave, a single jungle camp, they can use it to all get back up to full HP. Don't even need it, just the passive regen. They're already there. And now they can get to work on that 3rd and final inhibitor.
Yeah, and honestly, if I'm Rem here, I would have considered just trying to swap some of your items here. Instead of that Collector, go for that Phantom Dancer. Try and get a little bit more on-hit damage, but it doesn't look like he's going to make that pivot. And this is going to be possibly the game-ending play.
mAAd looking for the play on the side in the mid lane. BMD goes in on him, but PBN is there to save the day. I feel like a radio operator. There's too many call signs. Too many abbreviations. Can't you guys have shorter names like mAAd? Come on. Inhibitor now exposed and will go down. That is the final one.
Yep.
We're going to see double stack super minions in every wave now.
Yeah, and there's still plenty of minions here that they can just allow these cannon minions to hit these towers from outside that tower range. They're just trying to keep and maintain the Baron buff as long as possible.
And they've tired of waiting. They're going to go in, finish off their food, chase them back to the fountain, and clean up game number 2. Much more dominant than the first one. Wichita Wolves prove themselves the better team here today, and they'll be moving on to the grand finals.
Yeah, and that's
Left Nightstar speechless. Not an easy thing to do, believe you me.
I mean, it was just such a dominating game number 2 here, and I mean, I'm just trying to verify if this is a best of 2 or best of 3, or if it's a best of 5, because I remember last split we did have BO5s in the semifinals, and we are in semifinal territory. So it's very
This is best
possible.
of 3. We are
Okay.
going to be starting best of 5, starting with the third place match next week,
All right.
as well as the finals will be best of 5. But this match for the semifinals was best of 3, and that means that Mad City Premier unfortunately is out. I wish this would have been a best of 5. Like I said, coming into it, this was in my mind and the mind of a lot of other people's kind of the finals. This is our two best teams that we feel that we have right now. We didn't get to watch Dare go up against Blacklist, but one of them. Well, they're going into game 3 right now. I'm just getting word. And we'll see the winner take on Wichita Wolves in the finals next week. So, I mean, Nightstar, that game was a lot better for Wichita Wolves. I feel like they took game number 1 and it was a bit slow. They looked good, but they took a long time finishing it out. This one was pretty clean from start to finish.
Yeah, and I mean, the difference maker was the fact that they were able to have a composition that could fight for that third dragon, right? That was able to take advantage of the fact that they got those first 2 dragons. And highlight of that game, of course, just has to go onto the Gwen pick. The Gwen pick was just so instrumental. And I mean, the follow-up onto the Gwen pick as well. We talked about in game 1, the composition for the side of Mad City was a comp built around Castle. In game number 2, it was again built around Castle. And this time around, for the side of Wichita, they saw that and said, it's time for us to build a comp around our jungler too. So let's do it. And that's exactly what they did. And it was a battle of jungler compositions. And for Wichita Wolves, their comp reigned supreme this time around.
Yeah, and let's give a shout out to the man piloting the Gwen too. It's not very easy to put Castle on the back foot. We've seen him just kind of roll over all of his competition here in the UCL, but Bluxy just felt like he had him read like a book from game number 1, where not only did he just have Castle spotted out in his entire path, but also the beautiful flash predictions, the cocoons on multiple occasions predicting mobility spells. And then that game 2 with Gwen. And I mean, yes, it's Gwen, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he still had excellent pathing, excellent map control. He was at those dragons at the right time with the right priority. This is a well-seasoned team, and I was very excited to see them not only have a good game in game number 1, but to have an even better game in game number 2 with a different style composition. They kind of threw game 1's comp out the window. So this is a multi-threat team in every sense of the word, and it's going to be a tough time taking them on in finals. I don't envy whatever team has to do it.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be a very tough task, or a tough team to take down in a best of 5 setting as well, because then you have to address, well, again, this is a Yasuo Seraphim player coming in from PBN. And that means that all of a sudden you expose yourself to maybe a Gragas Yasuo duo. They could very well pull that one out, especially with how the jungle meta is a lot less punishing for a Gragas jungle. We could see it in finals.
We very much could. I think if there was any place for Wichita Wolves to really stretch their legs, it would be in the finals. You've got no more games to hold anything back. And, this could have been their toughest opponent here today. I'm always ready for an upset, but Mad City Premier was one heck of a team. Thankfully, the seasons have a pretty quick turnaround here in the Upsurge Contenders League, so we might see them back on stage in just a couple of short weeks. But we are going to start to wrap it up here for tonight. Congratulations to Wichita Wolves for the 2-0 victory. They're going to be moving on to play in our grand finals here on June 1st. At 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you stay tuned to the Upsurge Twitter so you'll know exactly what stream that is going to be on. And you can follow us on Twitter. We'll be sure to pass along the information. Mad City Premier, we are going to still see them move down to the third place match, which will also be on June 1st. Another best of 5 They'll be taking on the loser between Dare Gaming and Blacklist X, which is going on right now. But any last thoughts from you, Nightstar, before we send this one away?
Once again, it was a pleasure to cast with you, Trevor. If you haven't, you got to follow this man on Twitter. But other than that, it was a beautiful series, and everyone involved, once again, it's a pleasure being on this broadcast.
All right, we'll see you next week for some more great Upsurge Contenders League, the grand finals, and the third place match. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you there.